My name is Rachel Green, and I want to share with you the extraordinary story of my life, a journey that completely transformed my worldview. I died, met Jesus Christ, and received profound revelations about life, death, and the freedom to choose. I am a 38-year-old woman born into a Jewish family in New York. My life has been far from perfect. I endured the pain of losing my mother at a young age, and my father, though loving, was so strict that I often felt I was never good enough. My childhood memories were a constant tug-of-war between wanting to please my family and yearning for the freedom to find my own purpose. My adult years were no easier. After losing my job during an economic crisis, I took on various odd jobs just to survive. My connection to religion gradually faded. I stopped praying and no longer participated in rituals. My mind was buried under depression, and my body felt utterly drained. That day, on a cold morning in early March, I was walking across Broadway, a busy street. My mind was foggy and weighed down by negative thoughts about life. Suddenly, a piercing car horn snapped me back to reality. I turned my head and saw a black SUV speeding toward me at an alarming rate. In an instant, its bright headlights blinded me, and panic overtook me. I had no time to react. The screeching of brakes cut through the cold air, followed by a violent impact. I felt my body being thrown into the air like a fragile leaf. Everything happened too fast, yet it felt oddly slow, as if time itself had bent. I heard the sound of bones colliding, screams around me, and then complete silence. I could no longer feel my body, as if I had left it entirely. In that moment, I entered an entirely different state. At that moment, I found myself in an unfamiliar space. It wasn't a dream, because everything was so vivid and detailed, beyond anything I could imagine. I stood in a sea of soft, warm light, filled with love. This light didn't just surround me, it penetrated every cell of my being, like a language of love. I knew that it was pure love, and I felt embraced as though by an old friend. The light wasn't just light, it was alive, pulsating with love and serenity that reached into every corner of my soul. I felt that the light knew me intimately, understanding all my pain and inner wounds. In that moment, all my suffering seemed to dissolve, replaced by an overwhelming sense of comfort. As I delved into this bliss, I realized I wasn't alone. Around me, there were beings of light. They didn't have distinct forms, but they radiated warmth and peace. They didn't speak, yet I could understand them clearly, as though they were communicating directly to my mind. I knew they were perfected souls, saints in their existence. They didn't judge me. They simply looked at me with eyes full of love, as if inviting me to explore further. One thing that struck me was how everything here felt alive. The space had no beginning or end, as if time and space had merged into one. I felt a profound tranquility, but also a sense of smallness in the face of something infinitely greater. Then, out of the radiant light, a figure began to emerge. At first it was a faint silhouette, but the surrounding light seemed to wrap around him, creating an aura that words cannot describe. His face came into view, filled with gentleness and majesty. His eyes were deep, as if they contained the entire universe. When he looked at me, I felt as though every layer of my soul was laid bare, yet there was no judgment, only understanding and unconditional love. As he stepped toward me, there was no sound, but with each step, the space around me seemed to come alive. This wasn't just light, it was pure love radiating from his presence. I felt as though my heart was being completely exposed. Every mistake, every pain, and even forgotten hopes were understood by his gaze. But instead of fear, I felt a profound sense of forgiveness, as if he had been waiting for me all along. I didn't dare speak, but in my mind I asked, "Why am I here? Why did you choose me?" It seemed as though he heard my thoughts, because he immediately smiled and spoke in a deep, warm voice full of authority. "Rachel, you have suffered, but every pain has its purpose. I have always been with you, even when you didn't realize it. Now, you are ready to know the truth and share my light with the world." Every word he spoke felt like a stream of pure water washing over my soul. I realized I didn't need to be perfect to be loved. His love was unconditional, and his presence was like a fire melting away all remaining fears in me. Jesus led me through different realms. First, he showed me the kingdom of love, where souls who had lived in love and compassion were welcomed. These souls were singing, working, and harmonizing with one another like a perfect symphony. They exchanged smiles and gazes filled with joy, as if every moment was an endless celebration of love. Streams of light radiated from them, intertwining with the space around them, creating a silent melody that resonated like the breath of the universe. Next, he led me to another place, where souls were learning. These were souls who had lived in suffering or misunderstood God's love, but they were being guided into the light. I saw an elderly man sitting quietly under a gentle beam of light. His face was filled with regret, but as the light enveloped him, his pain seemed to ease. I heard him whisper, "I hurt my family. I wish I could go back and make it right." The light didn't respond with words, but I felt the forgiveness flowing into his heart, and his face gradually lit up with peace. In this realm, I saw people who had been skeptical, lost, yet they were given the chance to learn and grow. Hope filled the air here. I understood that God's love was infinite, always offering opportunities to those willing to open their hearts. I witnessed a woman sitting under a tree of light, tears streaming down her face as she recognized her life's mistakes. A soft light enveloped her, and she wept not out of sorrow, but out of liberation. Finally, I was shown a cold and dark place where souls had rejected God's love. This place was shrouded in a thick, oppressive mist. The souls here appeared like moving shadows, each step heavy as though burdened by their own weight. I heard whispers of regret echoing through the air, but no one answered them. Yet, amidst this darkness, I saw a faint light. Another soul was struggling to reach for it despite the difficulty. Jesus said to me, "Even in the darkness, my light is always present. Whoever calls my name will be heard." I felt the pain of the souls in this realm, but I also saw the faint glimmers of hope. It taught me that even when humanity feels most abandoned, God is always there, waiting for them to return. Jesus finally told me that time was running short and he would return soon. "Prepare your heart, live in love, and share this truth," he said. He continued, "Rachel, you are of my chosen people. The Jewish people were set apart to bring light to the world, but many among my people have turned away, denying me as the Messiah." These words struck deeply into my soul. I realized that my people had been chosen for a divine mission, but many generations had missed the true meaning of the Messiah. Jesus did not rebuke but spoke with overwhelming love and longing. "I desire my people to awaken, to recognize the truth, and to walk in the light I have given them." His words were not merely advice but a mission. I understood that I needed to live a meaningful life, sharing the message of love and hope with everyone, especially the Jewish people. Jesus looked deeply into my eyes and added, "You are not alone. Even if the world rejects you, I will always be with you. Your mission is to sow the seeds, and I will make them grow." After these words, I felt an immense peace filling my heart. He guided me back to the light, and I felt as though I was being embraced by God Himself. I knew I was loved unconditionally and had been given a second chance to do what was right. When I opened my eyes, the light was gone, and I was lying in the emergency room. The air in the room was cold, but I felt an inexplicable warmth enveloping my soul. I heard the doctors and nurses saying that I had been dead for 6 minutes, but to me, the journey felt like an eternity. Back in the world, I knew everything had changed. I no longer feared death or the pain of my past. I began sharing my story with friends, family, and anyone willing to listen. Each story I told felt like a small light, hoping it would guide others to God's love. I want you to know that you don't need to experience what I did to realize the truth. Open your heart, seek the light, because God's love is waiting for you, even in the darkest places. I have been awakened, and I wholeheartedly share this message with you. God's love and mercy are sufficient for all of us, but time is short. Live in love, learn to forgive, and especially, the Jewish people must return to recognize the Messiah who was promised.